directors to discuss that. So it's up for discussion. I'm in favor of
there we go.
We're cooking.
Yeah.
There we
We're
go.
on.
I got to do, hang on 1 second. Let me just do one thing. What do I got to do? I got to do live on Facebook.
Okay.
Go live. Yes, please.
I don't know where I look on this thing. I don't know where the camera is.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Am I looking at it now?
Hang on a second. I'm not quite there yet again. Okay. Yes, you're looking right at the camera right now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, sounds good. And YouTube.
See if I can get centered a little better here. There we go.
Okay. All right. Now we got those things figured out. Okay, sounds cool. All right.
All right.
Welcome to 1000 Ways, the show in which we try and discover one of the 1000 ways that Rumi spoke when Rumi said there are 1,000 ways to kiss the earth. So tonight we're going to talk with Paul, and Paul is going to help us uncover one of these 1,000 ways. Paul heads up the band Texas Flood. How long has Texas Flood been a band, Paul?
Texas Flood became a band in March of 1993.
March of 1993. That's been a while.
Been a while, yeah.
Wow. And
There's
so,
go ahead.
You know, I was just going to say, and has the band configuration changed a lot?
Yeah, there's been a few different incarnations, but when I play in Vancouver, it's the same drummer as the original band and a bass player who's been with us for about 10 years or so now. 12 years, actually. So, and then there's been a few different lineups out in Alberta. So it's changed a bit.
Well,
but,
you're saying your drummer's he's like world famous drummer guy, right?
Yeah, he's pretty famous. He plays in the band Chilliwack. Jerry Adolph is his name. Yeah. Yeah, he's good. He's a good hang too. He's lots of fun to be around.
Nice. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, and so he joins you when you play in close to the Vancouver and anywhere around Vancouver kind of thing.
Usually anywhere after I cross the border to BC. Oh, okay. Yeah, they drive out and meet me there. They're kind of they're the BC guys.
Got it. They're not allowed in Alberta then? Is that what it is?
No. No, then the Alberta guys get pissed off.
Cool. So how many on a normal, before COVID type stuff, like how many shows would you normally do in a year?
Well, because I'm a fishing guide in the summer, there'd be 4 months there where I did very few shows. June 16th to October 16th, is that 4 or 5 months? It was like 5, I don't know. Yeah, I'd only do maybe 1 or 2 shows in that amount of time because working full time, it's just too much to come home on Friday night and try to get to a show somewhere. I just want to rest.
Yeah. No.
But the rest of the year I work every weekend, so pretty much, yeah, in a normal year. Now that's all gone.
Well,
for a while.
Speaking of that, yeah, what are you gonna like? There's a lot of groups now that are doing like live type shows on like Facebook or those kind of things as something to kind of keep some revenue stream and keep their fan base intact and all that kind of stuff. Are you considering anything like that?
Well, yeah, I'll probably end up doing a few at some point. When the initial buzz slows down a bit. I'm actually working on some videos that we're doing at home here that I want to put on because I can produce them a little more and whatnot. Do some stuff that I wouldn't normally do, like get my family in on some of it and stuff. So as far as the live thing, yeah, I'll probably do some of that when the mood really strikes. Yeah. Lots of guys doing it. I guess some guys are making some revenue from it. I'm not sure. I might look into that and see. there's a program in BC for BC musicians where the government is actually giving grants for people to do live shows.
Really?
It just started. Yeah. For a famous band, they're giving more money, and for unknown bands, they're giving something like $500 a show. So
Wow, that's cool.
I'm sure you can only probably do it once, but it's still something,
Right.
$500 is $500. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nothing like that so far in Alberta, but
Yeah.
You never know. If they set the precedent, something might happen.
Did you and I ever talk about Twitch at all? Did you and I have a chat about that?
No, I don't think so.
Oh man, let me tell you about this. I think this is going to play somewhat in the future of music, I think. So there's Twitch, which is like a video gamer type platform, and where people will basically go on, play video games, and other people watch them play video games is kind of how it works, right? And so now there's musicians who are accessing it. So Twitch for musicians. And this gal, I think her name's Karen Allan, if I recall correctly, wrote a book about it and how you do it to set up like a platform on Twitch. And they have sort of where you set it up, you broadcast live, and then as you gain fans or followers, I should say, as you gain followers, then it is able that it produces a revenue as well, kind of a thing, right? And so it's a pretty slick system. Like I signed on to it, like I heard about it like 2 weeks ago, and it took me a couple days to figure out how to set up the account and all that kind of shit. And then after I had that stuff set up, I've been broadcasting the last like 10 days. Every day I just do a little live stream, and it's super easy. I just use my phone and then just stick it on my phone, hit live stream, boom, it starts recording. And in my case, I don't have other musicians or anything. I'm just singing, right? So I just like live stream, sing for a bit. Unable to shoot. Oh, dang it. It's giving me messages that I'm not doing something right here.
Uh-oh. I saw a freeze up there a second ago on your end.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Amuse yourself for a moment. Hang on. So anyways, this thing, I've been doing it for every day. Just go on when I feel like singing some songs and just go record for, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, depending on how much voice I have, that kind of a thing, right? And then I just been doing it for fun. And then right after you do it, like I'm talking like 2 minutes after you've done it, the video is available, and then you can post the video like to Facebook, kind of a thing. So that's kind of what I've been doing. So, and for me, it's not like I'm not worried about the revenue part, but for like a touring band, that's their revenue, right? If they can't tour, they can't make money, right? So
yeah, I really feel for a lot of the bands who that's all they do. I've kind of not really stepped up to doing all that stuff because I want to let them do it, because I have half the year where I'm making a really solid, stable income,
right?
And so I have savings and stuff like that, that others, some of these guys were caught in the middle of a tour,
right?
In their truck in the middle of a tour. All of a sudden, all their gigs are gone.
Right. Exactly.
I really feel for the people in that situation, or just like in the middle of a tour like that, without that tour money, they're dead in the water. And, I really feel for the people who are going through that stuff, but then, then again, my guiding season might be out the window too. So we don't know yet. Depends on how long the border is closed, right? Because all my clients are from the U.S. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
If the border stays closed all summer, well, then, then we'll see.
Yeah. It will be interesting. Anyways, but something like this Twitch thing, I think that'd be something for a lot of, for me, it's just an expression thing, like just to have fun doing it. But for somebody who makes their money off of making music, and there's if you just go to twitch-tv and just browse, and you just browse live channels, you're going to see all kinds. There's people that have a studio like yours and 5 guitars and, that kind of a thing. There's usually only 2 people playing, but they've got all the gear. And then there's a guy that just had his like accordion. He's sitting in a chair playing his accordion, right? And then I think I'm the only one who just likes singing, but that's
Well, that's your thing, man.
that's my thing.
That's
Exactly.
your thing.
Yeah.
I've not seen that, but I will check it out. It
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. And her book, by the way, it's called Twitch for Musicians. And she's got like videos, and she'll give you the first couple of chapters of her book to tell you how it works and that. But mostly I found it just like dicking around with it. It was actually pretty easy to make it work. So
Right.
yeah, it wasn't that
Well,
hard at all. Yeah.
that's good. That's it. That's interesting stuff.
Yeah. Juno, our friend Juno, he comes on every
Yeah.
once in a while and gives me some encouragement. And so that's
Oh,
always
nice.
fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's
speaking
great.
of music, you and I have some pretty common interests in music. I think we have
Oh,
our musical tastes align somewhat, right?
yeah, I would agree. Yeah, for sure.
Great. I know people don't know this, but I'll tell them. First met Paul. I went and did some recording at his house, at his little studio at his house. And the first song I recorded, he said, "I recorded that song."
Yeah, that's right. I don't remember which one it was now. Which was
Delbert.
the first one? Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Delbert.
Yeah.
That was the song, and I sang it, and you said, "Oh man, I recorded that one." So yeah.
Yeah, I played that in a band for 10 years or something.
Oh, it's a fun song. It's a fun song.
Yeah. I might have to bring it back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good.
So now, Texas Flood. Obviously, you're Stevie Ray Vaughan inspired, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we began as an actual tribute band. That's what it started. Was that for the first 5 years about, and we are going to be doing that again. In fact, we had shows booked in the US and stuff when this all happened.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, we got some management in Vancouver, and we're going to be doing some of those tribute shows again, because I got away from it after 5 years. I just decided to, do more of my own songs and stuff I wanted to do. And then it ended up, I always played a good bunch of his music at every show, but we're going to actually do the whole tribute again, starting whenever live music starts up again.
Yeah. Well, Stevie Ray Vaughan never gets old, right?
I wouldn't think so. Not for the people who are big fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I've run into many younger people who don't know who he is, but
right.
Everyone my age seems to know who he is. And
exactly.
He was, his first really big album sales were in Canada.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but when he put out his first record, it just sold like gangbusters in Canada right out of the gate, which is kind of an interesting little fact. I know that I got it. I pre-ordered it before it even came out from word of mouth, and hearing him on the radio playing on the David Bowie album, I just had to know who the guitar player was. So I got the David Bowie album and asked the guy at the record store, who is this guy, this Stevie Ray Vaughan guy? And he says, oh, he's a guy from Texas. He has his own record coming out in a couple months. And I said, well, I'll pay for it right now. I'll pre-order it. And so I had that one the day it hit the shelves, which is interesting,
And what was the first album of Stevie Ray Vaughan called?
It's called Texas Flood.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's the first album he did. And I had to know. And interestingly enough, I was kind of playing a similar style already, because when I was 16 years old, my family went on a motorhome trip, and we drove all the way down to the Florida Keys from Vancouver, and then across the southern states to Los Angeles, and then back up to Vancouver. So we were gone for a month, and we spent New Year's Eve just very close to Austin, Texas, in a little place called Junction, Texas. And there's a dance there, and my folks parked the motorhome outside the dance, and they went in, and then they came back out. I was 16, I believe. This was in I guess that would have been 78. And they said, hey, you can come in. And I was already playing. I was already playing guitar pretty well for a 16-year-old. but I, of course, was into the Beatles and Stones and all, just the rock and roll of the day. And they said, you can come in and watch. And so I got to go in and sit beside the stage, and these guys are playing like Texas blues rock kind of stuff. And the guitar player was just awesome. And he started filling me in on, well, you should listen to Freddie King and Albert King and B.B. King. If you want to know where rock and roll came from, that's who you should listen to if you're a guitar player. So immediately upon going home, I did that. And so it was already an influence I'd been exploring for a couple of years before I heard Stevie. And that's why it struck me so hard that it was the same way this other guy played, like very similar, to the way this guy who I heard at that dance. And also on that same trip, I got to go into the bars in New Orleans and watch bands as well. And they just let me sit there, even though I was only 16. Yeah, you can sit there and watch the band, and just don't walk around, don't drink. And so I did that for a night in a club in New Orleans too. And so it was a huge awakening to the blues. And, I still loved rock and roll just as much. It was just like a big growing thing at a really good age for it. It just opened my eyes to other, a whole different world of music,
No shit.
and
that was quite a great trip you went on, eh? A month around. Wow.
Yeah, we had been down to California a couple times before that in a motorhome with two whole families, like that's the kind of trips we went on. But those weren't the same, didn't have the same jarring influence of difference of culture than that one was, just like, really something, just opened my. So then when I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan, I said, that's that music, that's that guitar playing. So it was like, it was just right there. Yeah, that's how you're gonna play. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Whatever hits you in the heart the most is kind of what you stay with.
Yeah.
It's so long ago now. I don't feel all that different.
A few more gray hairs, but other than that,
a little more aches and pains, but still love the same stuff,
Yeah. It's kind of funny how music just kind of speaks to you. For me, the lyrics are probably the most important part. I love the lyrics. The lyrics are what kind of make it for me. And but like for you as a guitar player, maybe not. Maybe it's just guitar solos that are embedded in songs that are most important for you, eh?
Well, I've talked with my wife about this because she's really, really focused on lyrics. And I never really have been. I love really good singing, and I love how they shape the words and how the words fit the music. But it's probably, honestly, the groove and the whole thing of the song has always been first for me. And then lyrics, I like them if I want them to be good, but they're not, certainly not. Even when I'm doing my writing for myself, everything's almost done before the lyrics. Like the pattern of them is done, but they might go through like 15 incarnations before I go, oh yeah, these will work. It's it's more like the singing is more like, I guess I think of it more like instrument, and maybe that's from being a player. That
the singing is just another instrument is kind of what you've got to mix in.
In a way, but but I will work on lyrics really hard to, as a writer, to make sure they're cool. They're not, or I think they're cool. They're not, I read a lot, so I like the written word. It's just in music, it always seems to be the last thing I'm really focusing on. It's a funny thing that way. Yeah.
And I think that's just like, that's the beauty. That's one of the 1,000 ways, right? You can like music more for the guitars than anything else, and I can like music more for the vocalization and the lyrics than anything else, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love hearing a good singer. There's nothing like it, but is it the words or the delivery? For me, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
I know who my favorite lyricists are, and they're two opposite ends of the spectrum. It would be Neil Young and Keith Richards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those are great.
Keith wrote almost all the lyrics for the Stones songs. I don't know, a lot of people don't realize that, but he's written, you know, from what I understand, more than 70 or 80% of the lyrics. So
I did not know that. Really? Wow.
yeah, and his lyrics are, the lyrics to Jumpin' Jack Flash are pretty cool. You know, and then Neil Young. What can you say about Neil Young? I mean, it's songwriting genius.
Yes.
And I remember I wasn't a Neil Young fan really until I saw him live, because I didn't think I liked his singing, and I've heard that from other people, you know, that his voice isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I saw him live and it was just like, oh my God, this guy's so magical. And then I became like a huge fan after one time of seeing him live. That was it.
Really? So
Yeah.
even though a lot of people would evaluate he's like great songwriter, but maybe not that great a singer, but his live is just a whole different thing, right?
I've heard people say that. I think he's an incredible singer now.
Yeah.
But I think I had to see that live to get it.
Got it.
Or
Yeah,
maybe I just didn't listen carefully or hard enough in the first place, and then I got slapped in the face with it. So, you know, it's sort of like Eric Clapton's guitar playing. You know, I've always loved Eric Clapton, but I thought Clapton's not as good as, say, as Stevie or someone, or Hendrix. And I've heard this said by other people, and then you see him live, and it's just like how it comes across live is like, holy cow, like he makes you feel it, you know. So
yeah,
I know when I first saw him, he had a second guitarist in his band it's Doyle Bramall II, who I think is one of the best blues guitar players of the modern era by far. And I was so looking forward to seeing him, and then all of a sudden Clapton kind of just totally kicked his butt in the live situation. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect that, you know. I didn't expect to be so moved by his playing, you know. And then we saw him again a couple of years later, and it was equally as phenomenal. So yeah, sometimes you never know until you sit there and hear it right in your face. And
and it's like, and it's experienced that one time that you had could have been an entirely different experience than the next night, the next show that they had, right?
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. But yeah, and the connection, you know, the ability to find that wavelength between audience and artist, deliverer, you know, Clapton just really had that in spades, you know. And you don't always fully get that through a record, you know, or on a video, or you know, as compared to when you're there and you feel the connection and what the guy can deliver, that magic, whatever that magic is.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And he's been around a while, so he knows that. Neil Young too, man. He's something else live. He'll just stop you in your tracks, you know.
Is that right? Cool.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was the best live performance that you ever performed? Tell me a show that you said, oh, that was like life-changing, that show when we did it.
I do remember one particularly show that really changed my perception, or maybe my confidence it was at the Yale Hotel in Vancouver, and it was just a night where it was going well, and it just, everything seemed to be easy, and it was a busy night. But then there was a particular song where I thought, I'm not doing this. I'm not actually doing this. Like, this is like, I was separate from it, and it was a very intense middle of a big heavy solo, and I was just going, I'm not doing this. Like, I've been like taken over somehow.
You're just kind of watching yourself perform it, is what you're saying.
I was. Well, that's what made me stop and say that. Is like, I was watching what I was doing, and I was going, I'm not doing this. And then I looked out into the audience, and everyone was just still. Like, the bartender was looking at the stage. The waitress was sitting there with a tray looking at the stage. And I just said, this is what it is. This is happening right now, you know. and it was like, it was very, very odd. And it was like, I said, this is it. This is what and I realized that's what a guy tries to strive. That's what you should be striving for as as an artist.
Yeah,
a moment like,
yeah,
a moment like that, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
where an exchanged energy was just taking over the whole thing. And it was effortless. It was quite effortless. And I was like, what's going to happen when this is done? Like, they're going to lose it. And they did. The whole place lost it. And I immediately got hired for a full-time Monday night slot after that show.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was just like, so that was, and so from then on, when it's always trying to get back there.
But that,
and it has happened
yeah,
a handful of times, but you know, but if you're trying for that, you're always going to do good. You know,
yeah.
if you're trying for that level of realness and just sharing and trying to convince the audience to buy into where their energy feeds you and you're just giving it right back to them.
Yeah,
That's my opinion of how that happens. And I know at a show where I've been taken in there, you know, that's what I think, you know, what I always strive to get back to as a performer anyway. And I mean, there's nothing like that. I mean, it's just like, you know, and you can sometimes feel a show where it's right there. You know, it might not fully get that obvious, but when everyone's on your side and that wave is rolling, it's the easiest and funnest thing in the world. I mean, really.
wow,
Yeah,
that sounds awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like that feeling, you know. And I've had it when I worked with Doucette, there was a few shows that were just like that. Just really, just a super shared experience, and the energy rush is like, wow. You know?
Did you say Doucette?
Yeah, I played with.
Doucette?
Yeah, I played with him for about 10 years.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, it was his guitar player, second guitar player, and yeah, we had some big shows. Another great show on a little bit different perspective was when my very first show with Doucette was a big outdoor festival with about 14,000 people.
Yeah.
It was very surreal to just be a couple of rehearsals, go into this show, and we're doing the song "Mama Let 'Em Play," and I had this, and I was like, I'm not in a cover band. You know, I'm not in a cover band doing this song. I'm actually in the band, which is, you know, a really trippy moment. You know, it's like, because I remember air guitaring to that song when it came out as a teenager. You know, and trying to learn it, and it was, you know, I could play it rhythmically at 16 years old, but I couldn't pick out the solo. It was too difficult for me at that point. You know?
Yeah.
But it's funny to be all of a sudden at this big show, everyone's going crazy, and you're actually in the band with the guy who wrote the song. That was a cool moment.
I bet it was. Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't copying somebody else's stuff or giving a spin on somebody else's stuff. You were doing the original. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I had been in bands playing that song for many years by that time. You know, we had done that song. You know, it had always been, you know, as a cover band. You know, it's just like. So anyway, that was a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jerry, for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, back to our friend from come on now, our friend, the guitarist, your band, your hero,
Stevie Ray.
Why did I lose that? Stevie Ray.
It happens.
Yeah. So what was Stevie Ray? Like, when did he die? How long ago did he die?
1990.
1990. Oh wow.
Yeah. August 26, 1990.
Wow. And there was a car crash or something, or
helicopter. He had just played a concert with Eric Clapton and Robert Cray and Jimmy Bond and Buddy Guy, I think, was there too, in Alpine Valley, Wisconsin.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was Eric Clapton's helicopter, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he offered Stevie a seat in one of the helicopters instead of taking the bus ride back to Chicago because he had a real tight schedule or something, and he wanted to see his girlfriend and stuff, and had to get to New York in a hurry. And says, "Oh, there's a spare seat." And I think it might have been Clapton's seat, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, because Clapton's manager passed away as well in that helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a very tragic thing.
Hmm.
You know, I remember that day pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember as well, Leonard Skinner, like what was that in like the late 70s where a bunch of them died in a car crash, right? It was, or a plane crash.
Plane crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. 78. Yeah.
78. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronnie Van Zant was the lead singer for
Yeah.
Leonard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, they were one of my very favorite bands, and I never did see them until last year. You know, like, amazing. Till their final tour, so they said.
Yeah.
A year ago in March, I saw them, and it's Ronnie Van Zant's younger brother is the singer,
right?
And has been since the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the band was connected to the old band in some way or another. The guitar player was in the original Skinner as a drummer.
Oh, okay, yeah. Huh.
So, and he became the guitar player for other bands and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just phenomenal. It was just an excellent concert. They were so good. I mean, yeah. So I was glad I got to see them. You know.
No kidding. And you know what? I think like it's sad when they lost their life so young, but that probably even kind of memorialized their music more. You know what I'm saying?
I would say that does happen. You know, it happens faster if you look at it. If you look at, I mean, some careers, you know, peter out and never come back. I mean, big careers, but other big bands have had a period of disappearing and come back in the modern era. You know, like say Eagles, for instance, they had a downtime. I mean, really big bands, they had a downtime of over 10 years, I think, completely shut down, and came back really big and, you know, bigger than ever. But a band like Skinner, it's hard to say. They were so big at the time. Would it have ever slowed down, or would they have just stayed big like the Stones the whole time? It's so hard to say, but something like that happening, certainly. Or like Stevie, you know, like a blues artist like Stevie Ray Vaughan, him dying really kept his name and, you know, big for a long, long time.
You bet. Yeah.
So many subsequent releases of unreleased material and stuff too. There's amazing how much they had in that vault, actually. You know, or Jimi Hendrix. Like there's one who, I mean, is still huge. You know, it's so.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to see what would have happened. Maybe some of those careers would have just petered out.
Maybe, right?
Very hard to say.
I mean, that could have been, you don't know this, but that could have been their peak of their, you know, abilities or their capacities or audience connection, whatever it was. And they could have been like on a downward thing, and they would have been miserable and had a shitty life. Like maybe dying young was the best thing.
You never know. It's very hard to say. Yeah. Certainly kept their music. I mean, it's great that it did. It's great that their legacy goes on so long, like Jimi Hendrix or Janis Joplin. You know, they're still talked about as much today as they were then, which is
no kidding.
It's a cool thing, you know.
Yeah. Well, hey, when did you say Stevie Ray died? 1990, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah. So 1990, so 30 years ago, and you still remember him, still have his music, even though he hasn't even been on the planet for 30 years. That's like incredible, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I hope people remember you 30 years after you die. I don't think they're going to remember me a week after. Oh, that guy. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, maybe a few of them will.
maybe.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. And
glad to be still playing music myself, you know.
Wow, and it's always been a passion of you. You started, you said you were a pretty decent guitar player when you were 16, right? So you
Yeah,
started before that, so.
yeah, I started when I was about 10.
Yeah.
And when I was 16, I was playing bass in a really good band, you know, already a professional working band. So they were a great band who needed a bass player, and there were so many guitar players around. I was just like, I can do it. Oh, okay, kid, we'll give you a try. And got the gig, you know.
Nice.
Mom, I need a bass, like now. Thanks, Mom. My parents were supportive, so that was great. You know, they were
musicians? Was they musicians as well, Paul?
well, they were very musically inclined. Mom sang. They weren't professional musicians, but both played instruments and sang. So yeah, definitely. But they were definitely supportive of it. You know, they were, which is that goes a long way instead of having to fight all the time.
No shit.
Like,
yeah.
Especially when you're a teenager. You know,
Yes.
it's yeah.
Well, they're pretty awesome parents though too, to take you on the whole tour around. I mean, it's for them as well as you, but then you got to go in to see some cool shows that you would never have seen otherwise. So
yeah, it's so funny how different things were. Then it's like, okay, you stay here and we'll see you later. You know, my folks were gone the rest of the night, but they remembered where I was.
that's handy at least.
Yeah, I was a pretty fairly cautious younger person, so they knew I wouldn't go take off or anything, you know.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but things were different then, you know. It was like it's a little bit more of a wide open world back then.
Yeah.
Sure, he can come in, you know.
Exactly. Hey, the American Pie. What is the significance of American Pie?
Of the song?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it talks about the first big, I guess that was the first big death of musicians that ever happened, was Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly's plane crash. Apparently that's what that song is about.
Right, and I believe that this, what I was getting at, I guess, is I'm told, and I should have Googled this, but I didn't, but I'm told that American Pie was the name of Buddy Holly's plane, and that's why the song is called American Pie.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. Hey, Google, what was the name of Buddy Holly's plane? And what's that?
Carrying Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and JP, the Big Bopper, Richardson crashed a few miles from Mason City Municipal Airport.
That doesn't help us. I thought it was. Thank you, Google, for nothing. Damn it. Anyways, I was told that was the name of Buddy Holly's plane, and that's why the song ended up being called American Pie. So,
is that right? I didn't know that. That's very interesting. Did you know Waylon Jennings was Buddy Holly's bass player the night that, and he was also in the flipping of the coins to see who got to go in the plane?
I did not know that. Waylon Jennings played bass. Really? Wow.
He was in Buddy Holly's band as the bass player that night on that tour.
Wow. That's freaky, eh?
And he was also in the coin flip to see who got to go on the airplane.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Strange, eh?
Yeah, it is. Just like where you're talking about where the Eric Clapton's helicopter, where Stevie Ray was in it, where it should have been Eric Clapton's seat, right? So, wow.
Says a little something about when your time's up, your time's up.
Yeah, maybe. That's all there is to
that old saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm that when you're telling me about that moment where you were so connected with the audience and you had this kind of like where you were watching yourself play kind of a thing, right? And it was just like you were a witness to you playing, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to Juno the other day, and I was saying some songs that I sing like a lot, that I've sang like 200 or 300 times kind of a thing. I didn't even know how the song's going to end when I started. Like it just kind of, it goes and then it ends. Oh, well, that was kind of a fun ending, but it's not like I planned it, just like kind of how it went, right? So, yeah.
It's good. Yeah, sometimes it's just good to not let your brain get in the way of your art. You know?
Yeah.
That's what I constantly tell myself anyway.
It makes good sense to me. back to that Twitch thing. This isn't all about me, but I'm yakking too much maybe. But back with that Twitch thing, one thing that I found is I just sing the songs from memory. And if I'm in the middle of a song and I start thinking about what I'm going to sing next, I invariably screw up the lyrics, right? I'll miss a word or miss a verse or something, right? If I start thinking about the next song, if I just stay with the song I'm at, everything's cool. And even if it takes me 90 seconds to take a breath, think about the next song I'm going to sing, totally fine. But if I start thinking while I'm singing the one song, I pooch the song. And I don't enjoy it as much. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what the point I was getting at.
Yeah, exactly.
We all do that. Yeah, don't think. Just do.
Just do, exactly. Yeah. That's right.
Think when you're practicing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it's allowed. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it's great to be on here with you, man.
Well, yeah, it's fun. Yeah. So you want to regale us with any other tunes? Oh, we're like 6:14. We've been 45 minutes already there, man.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to cut her out pretty quick here, but.
Are you? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
It's all good.
Well, I always end this show where I sing a song. So let's.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about a song that I might sing that you would find appealing, knowing your bluesy type bent.
You do a CCR one that I like.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
A Song for Everyone? Is that the one you're thinking?
Yeah, I like that.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that song, and then we'll wrap her up and call her good. And actually, I'm kind of doing it in the style of Mavis Staples. Mavis Staples. Oh man, I love Mavis Staples. She's incredible. Yeah. I hope that someday I can sing like Mavis Staples.
Mavis.
Amazing. All right, so here's a song written by John Fogerty, but performed in the way that Mavis Staples would do it, except she'd do it better.
You rock, buddy.
Met myself a-coming a county welfare line. I was strung out, hung out on the line. I saw myself a-going down the war in June. All I want is to write myself a tune. Wrote a song for everyone. Wrote a song for truth. Wrote a song for everyone. And I couldn't even talk to you. And got myself arrested. Wound me up in jail. A rich man bound to blow up. Communication fail. If you see the answer, now's the time to say, all I want is to get you down and pray. Wrote a song for everyone. Wrote a song for truth. Wrote a song for everyone. And I couldn't even talk to you. I saw the people standing 1,000 years in chains. And people say it's different now. Lord, it's just the same. A pharaoh spin the message round and round the truth. They could have saved 1 million people. How can I tell you? I wrote a song for everyone. I wrote a song for truth. I wrote a song for everyone. And I couldn't even talk to you. No, I couldn't even talk to you.
All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Nice job.
All right, thanks, man. So, so thanks for doing this. And check out that Twitch. If you get on there, I'll follow you and watch your stuff, man.
I'm going to check it out for sure.
Okay, sounds cool. And if you want to follow me, it's Allan_acapellist. I think you'd figure it out, but.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. I'll do that.
Okay, cool.
All right, man.
Okay, keep well.
Yeah, thanks, Allan.
Okay, talk to you, Paul.
Yeah. Take care.
You too.